We are back. It is the next episode, episode 5. I am talking with the Vanta Lord himself. Oh my goodness. Dude, we spoke for 4 hours. I had to break this episode up into two parts. So I hope you enjoy the first part is of the episode is 2 hours, and then of course the second part is about 2 hours. So enjoy. We talk about everything under the sun. I love Agostinho. He is, oh my gosh, he is so awesome, and I hope you enjoy listening to him. Oh, I have a new sexy intro. Hi, my name's Rebecca Lee Perry. I am here on Human Coffee with Mr. Agostinho de Silva, also known as the Vanta Lord. He has been so gracious to be on the show today. I'm going to talk a little bit about him, and then we'll ask him some questions. And we also have a game and a surprise at the end of the video. So I hope you guys will stay tuned. So this is Mr. Agostinho. How are you doing today?
Brilliant. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about you. So as of when I did the information on you, it said that you had 831,000.9 followers on TikTok. I know that's not true anymore. It's probably like at 10 million, but as of right now, from last night, that's what I have. Um, I I have you as a content creator, a musician, rapper, singer, comedian, half archangel, and demigod. Am I missing anything else?
You've got everything.
You're also the CEO of Volution. Am I saying that correctly?
Said that correctly.
Yes. And you are the Lord and Guardian of the Vanta realm and the wearer of an exquisite beard and illustrious afro. And that's it. That's all I have. I mean, like you could add more if you like, but that's what I have so far.
This
Okay.
is the best intro in podcast history. Let's start there. Nothing's better than this. I've spent 23 years on this earth working to get to this moment.
Well, hopefully it will continue to get better because like I have so many questions for you that I'm just like if you don't want to answer any of them, you don't have to. I'm not requiring you to. But
Okay.
I have a couple of questions that I can't wait to hear your answers for. So obviously, I always start with what are your pronouns, so I make sure that I say everything correctly.
Him, he,
Perfect.
yeah.
So I w- I discovered you through TikTok, and like I'm sure you have millions of people who have told you that as well. And I guess my first question is, why did you start a TikTok, and like where did you think you were gonna go with it when you started it?
So I've always been the most extravagant texter, yeah, with my close friends. I'll be like sending videos and photos and doing all of this stuff. I was already into, designing and making music and stuff, and I really just love entertaining and I love talking. Like I even asked you if we could go over time today. Like so I found myself with this application where you could literally talk and then go viral for it. And I was like, oh, that seems nice. So let me take all of my text energy, my 15 texts in a row energy, and put it here where it will be appreciated.
So you're telling me your friends don't appreciate your text energy? Is that what you're saying?
All friends can't give me a million likes for my text energy.
That's true. That's true. So, okay, so first, can you explain and that's kind of I'm going to be all over the place because I have so many different questions, but explain the feeling it was when you had your first viral video on TikTok. Like I'm sure I've never had one, so I don't know, but I assume it's like a rush and also scary at the same time.
I remember literally thinking I was Brad Pitt. Like I was because I found out my video went viral on Instagram. Like So I was like, oh, so it went viral on the internet, the whole thing. Wow. You know? And my friend texted me, and I think like my follower count went from like 4,000 to 60,000 in like a day. So I was just looking at all of that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's crazy." But like, what happens is that it happens so quickly that your personality can't really catch up to it. So that's what it was like for me, you know. Like, I didn't get to actually act like Brad Pitt because I still don't like feel any different, you know.
It's coming. It's on its way. So, okay, so where do you get your content? Like, I found you, of course, like everyone finds you with, being invited to the cookout. I'm glad that I'm automatically invited to the cookout. But, people who, and I'm assuming that, I don't, maybe I'm not, but I'm assuming that, for you, what made you say, okay, this is where I want to go with the content. This is where I feel like, I want to speak through my content through that way.
So, do you mean in regards to the cookouts or in regards to all of my content?
Let's start with the cookout and then we'll go with because your content definitely, since I've been following you, has grown in many different ways. So we'll talk about that in a second. But for you, I guess with the cookout first, why did you choose to go that route?
So, what happened was at the time where I made the first cookout video, right? I think I was maybe putting out between like 20, 40 videos a day of literally anything. Yeah. Just like me talking, answering comments, like doing all of that stuff, right? And I loved it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember being exhausted and I had no energy. And I saw this funny TikTok where this guy was like, I like my burgers the way I like my woman. And then he was eating this black burger. And I'm just like, where did this guy get a black burger? And then I grabbed my, and I don't know why I grabbed my iron, but I just start ironing. And then I'm like, he's invited to the cookout. He can come. And I posted and I literally fell asleep in my jeans and everything. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm tired.
Oh.
I wake up and this thing has gone viral. I'm like, okay.
So that
So
was it.
then,
That was
yeah, and I don't think I made another cookout video for like 2 or 3 weeks after that. But then I made one again, and then that one went viral as well. And I'm just
oh.
like, hmm.
You're like something's clicking up here.
Yeah. And then people like, whenever I posted like after that one, they were like, could you make another cookout video? Just one more, please. Just one more. So I kept on making one more. And then all of my mentions were people tagging me in like interracial videos or,
Oh
white
wow.
people, fighting for black people or not being racist or whatever. But then I was getting these DMs like, you, sir, you're ending racism. You're helping America. I'm like, okay.
you're you're ending racism for an entire country with 3 videos. That's amazing. I mean, when I didn't see your original one, the one that had gone viral, but one of the cookout videos was one of the ones that I'd found you through, and I'll be honest with you. So I saw your video on my FYP page, and I was like, "Where's the rest of his clothes?" Like that's the first thing I thought of when I saw you ironing, and I was just like, maybe it's because I just gotten on the app and I was like, okay, well maybe I'm just disconnected from the world. I just kept scrolling and it came up again on my FYP, another one of your videos, and I said, is it a running joke that he doesn't have an ironing board and clothes? Is there something going on? Because I didn't understand. And then I went to your page. I finally went to your page and scrolled through and I saw it. And I was like, oh, it's not about the iron. It's about the cookout. I'm just I'm a little slow. But I mean I love your content and like it's so original and so the reason why I contacted you was because like it's not just about the funniness of you're invited to the cookout, but the fact that you're connecting with people and really engaging people who may not otherwise feel like that they are included, the people that don't look like us. And so I think it's awesome that you do that type of content. That to me is what strikes me. So for you, with your other content, so the last one that I saw of yours was this morning. I think it was about the girl? the last one that you posted, was it this morning or maybe it was the day before? But for you, I've noticed with your content, it is definitely diverging, which is awesome, which I want to see more of, the Vanta Lord doing other shit. So, um, where do you want to see your content going? Where do you want your page to be going as far as obviously, and it's a deeper connection with the other things we're going to talk about in the future of the video, but for you, where would you like to do for the next step of your page and your content?
I would definitely love my content to go more in the direction of the projects that I'm working on, and tell more of like the Vantalord story that I created in my head, because the Vantalord is in fact a super villain that I created,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the source of where I get my superpowers from and what makes me a demigod. He's the
Uh-huh.
archangel part of the whole half archangel, half man demigod combination. So I got myself some contact lenses, and I'm like, okay, I look evil enough in these.
So whenever you're in, and okay, so quickly, I'm gonna jump all over the place. So quickly, can you tell us? Because
Yeah,
I actually listened to your previous podcast with Che Monster. I listened to the entire thing, and
yeah.
I know about your background, but for people who are just getting on here, maybe they didn't hear it or they're just listening to this or seeing this. Can you explain in like a quick like suitcase uh definition of your background and your history as a demigod and an archangel?
Cool beans, yeah. So basically, what would happen is that there was a time in my life where the weirdest things were happening. I was just unreasonably loved, yeah. And then I was just like, okay, like why did the bouncer not see me when I was trying to get in there? Like why is the super like high security university like letting no one in, but then like I kind of just got in through the side gate that happened to be open, and now I'm chilling with my friends and whatnot on campus and such, yeah. So then I started making a joke. I'm like, yeah, no, there's something going on here. And then I would spend time with some lady friends and whatnot. I treat my lady friends well, and they would, you know,
It's a good side note. It's a good side note.
Agostinho, you're like my guardian angel. I'm like, okay, I've been angel zoned. Look
Oh.
at that.
Uh-huh. It's a little bit better than friend zone, but you're getting closer.
A lot better than the friend zone. It has better benefits. I'll tell you that. um, so it it developed from there, yeah, where I was just like, okay, cool. From there, it went to a stage where I was like, I feel like you're getting the better explanation of this. But anyways, from there, it developed into a thing where I was working on mainly music at the time, yeah. And when you finish a song and it's good, you don't believe that it's you who made it. So,
Ah.
I feel like there's something working through me here. Okay. At that point, it develops, and I start, creating this character after I see this color. Well, this lack of color, known as
Mm-hmm.
Vanta Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Staring at,
Ah.
and I'm like, how on earth is there just nothing? It's like the most colorful nothing I'd ever seen. It is just a gap. And I was like, sometimes I feel like that. It's like there's a lot of nothing, but it's very enticing, huh? That was low-key a concerning statement, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, I'll just move aside, but we're gonna go back to it later. It's nothing but it's beautiful. Continue.
Okay, yeah. And I started going to the whole archangel thing, yeah, guardian angel thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So there's this angel, yeah? And he is an archangel, and basically, God is his dad, right? And I went to a Christian school when I was young, so I got all of like, the whole, Christianity thing in me and stuff. So at this point, like, I'm a little bit rebellious as well. So I'm like, okay, okay, let's just say, what if hypothetically, God isn't necessarily good. He's neutral. You know what I mean? Right? I'm like, let's say everyone is just neutral, like real human beings are, right? They say we're made in his image, and I'm like, most people are pretty neutral, and like most, like will lean towards the good side or the bad side, but essentially, like we all know that time we stole the fries when no one was looking.
Uh-huh. 100%. Yes.
Cool beans, yeah. So I'm now creating this like version of heaven, yeah, where essentially Earth is God's project, okay? And he needs all the resources he could get. And our souls are actually coming from the angels. Yeah. And so that basically means that the angel's essence is being mined to keep us alive, right? So that's where we get our life force from and everything. Okay. So
Mhm.
now the original Vancelord character, what happens with him is that he's basically a teacher and a warlord, right? And he's going around, taking like the land from all the other celestial planes and stuff, getting souls for God to use in his mind. And then one day he's like, I don't know if this guy actually likes me. I think he's just using me to get these souls, right? And then God's basically like, nah, you're my son, come on. And the Vancelos, we don't even look the same. Right? The thing though, right? The Celestials don't have a DNA test. You see what I'm saying? They can't get on the Maury show and like prove anything, right? Anyways, God's God's basically like, look. So now Lucifer's wiling out, yeah? You know the story with Lucifer was like, you know what, God, I think I could be the king of this whole thing. God looks at the Vancelord is like, okay, listen, take him out and then we can deal with some stuff. Vancelord takes out Lucifer, boom, right? At that stage, there's a mom in the equation. Because I was like, bro, what do you mean God doesn't have a wife? God is cuffed, bro. Anyways.
Oh my God. Oh, that is a statement I have ever heard. Okay, we got to talk about that for a minute. So, God definitely has a wife.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
explain to me, what does his wife do and what does she look like?
Full disclosure, yeah, I was watching the one episode of Lucifer. Then I liked the idea of God having a wife. Like Lucifer's mom came to Earth on one of the episodes, and I was like, well, number one, she's very very hot. That's great. And then I googled God's wife, and then I found some stuff in the Google search, and I was like, hey, this kind of makes sense.
Oh my God. This is so backwards. Wow. Well, now after we get off this podcast, I'm definitely going to have to look it up. I'd never considered it, so I'm definitely looking this up now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Please continue with your story because God definitely has a wife. I'm with you. I am with you.
This was me in my I call it my pseudo religious scientist phase.
Uh-huh.
Like where I literally took everything I had learned from philosophy, psychology, religion, science, and I put it into one, trying to find the answers. And the best thing about this is that I could get any answer I wanted by, searching exactly what I needed to get my bias research. Anyway,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, right. At this stage, right? God's baby mama's pissed off at the Vancelord now, yeah?
Yes.
And then she decides, no, 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 you are going to be enslaved, and we're going to use your soul,
Mm-hmm.
to now power the mortals as well. Okay, and he's now there enslaved and everything. Yeah, he meets someone there, a lady, if you will. They hate each other. They're fighting.
Of
They're
course.
fighting. They're fighting. They
Of course.
banished
Oh, wow.
to this realm, which will later be known as the Vanta realm. Yeah. Eventually, one of their fights gets so bad that it cracks. Okay. And the thing is, I was thinking very deeply now. I was like, how do angels make more angels? Yeah. Because for humans, making more humans, that's physical, but with angels, it isn't necessarily physical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, I think honestly, just on a spiritual level, spending that time with someone, yeah, and getting to know them on any emotional vibration
Mm-hmm.
will really just create something new. You understand? So the
Mm.
very concept of having a relationship with someone is the child, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. You gonna make me cry at the beginning?
So,
Come on, man. That's so pretty.
well, the
Okay,
thing
continue.
is, the story's very fucking deep, but I'm telling you the funny version of it because I'm in that mood right now. So what happens now is that Antelope, he's an archangel,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like he is literally like kind of royalty and stuff, yeah. And this is like now the first archangel child because now the other archangels didn't have a child like that. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what happens now is that remember earlier in the story, the Vanta Lord killed the devil, yeah,
Right. Right.
or Lucifer. Well,
Right.
it turns out that this woman person that the Vanta Lord
Mm-hmm.
met and kind of had a child, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's Lucifer's adopted daughter.
Oh.
So she basically looks at the Vanta Lord and she's like, I'm going to kill you for killing my father.
Oh.
What happens now, yeah,
Wow.
is that she goes to the Vanta Lord's mother, mhm,
Mhm.
and basically says, I need the power to kill your son because your son's mad powerful, right? And the Vanta Lord assesses the situation and he's like, okay, basically what she needs is her father's power being the devil's power, which he has,
Mhm.
yeah, or his son's power. He looks at his son and he's like, well, young man, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go. Ka-shing!
Jesus. This is so
The
dark.
Vanta.
This
It's, it's Vanta Black.
it's
It's
black.
thing is, so she was going to be powerful enough to end everything, like stop the whole show. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, okay, no, I have to. I have to. I wonder if there was another way, but like, I guess it already happened. So I'm like, well, can't do anything about that.
Can't undo that.
Yeah. So at that stage, yeah, the High Council of Heaven and everyone are outraged that like the first Archangel child was killed. So they curse the Vantalord, right? And they condemn him to a life where his essence is spread across all the different like copies of Earth that God created, yeah? Like the trial runs and everything. And then he has to actually go and get each piece of his essence back, for eternity up until the final piece accepts him, as his own essence. So the final piece is in me.
Oh. Interesting. Okay, so as the Vantalord is the final piece, what is the Vantalord waiting for in order to get back to where he was before he was spread across the world?
What is the Vanslo waiting to get back to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, look, the angels are still enslaved, right?
Yeah.
And when he experienced it, being in the mines and having his soul, like gets like sent away into
Mm-hmm.
like these different humans and stuff, he was like, oh no, that's actually rubbish. We need to stop that, you know? And the interesting thing is that it really coincides with my vision of the world where I'm like, there's really billions of people working jobs that they hate to get less than a living wage. And that's a bit of a tricky situation, that one, right?
Yeah.
So what
Wow.
happens now is the Vance Lord cannot be powerful enough to stop the situation until he gets the final piece of his essence. The problem is I'm using it, aka I'm alive.
So you have to die first in order for the Vantalord to use it.
Exactly. Right. Now
But
here's the
I
catch,
thought that
yeah?
you can't die.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Here's the catch. Okay. At this stage, we're still separate in this stage of the story, okay? This is actually what my album is about, like this particular section of the story where he's like, okay, I found the final piece of my essence. Now, what I need to do is that if I kill this guy, then the essence is literally just gonna go back up and like recycle, right? And then go into someone else. Then I won't be able to find it again for like millennia. However, if he kills himself, it has to go back to the source, right? Now, here's the
Oh.
concept of, when they say your trauma builds you and everything, yeah? It makes you who you are.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, let's say every traumatic thing that ever happened to me happened because the Vanta Lord made it happen. Yeah. So then
Oh.
it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes. At that point, I'm like, you know what? This being alive thing is trash. And then he's like, no, don't kill yourself, please. And then he's like, kashing. And then he grabs the essence. Boom. Right? Man goes, saves heaven. Everything is great. Everything is dandy. He takes the refugees off to what we now know as the Evolution universe, which he created. Yeah. And then he was like, well, Agostinho, I've been alive for a very long time and I'm tired. So I'm going to give you my powers and you're going to do your thing now. Congratulations, you're officially a demigod. And that's the story.
Oh, wow. So what I love about this is that you had put a video out, I think yesterday, about knowing you're supposed to be great. Like you don't need anyone's permission to be great. And I think that, and I'm just making an assumption now, but I think that makes a definite connection to what you just said about the trauma of your life. You're fighting against that trauma because you know you're great. And so you're trying to get rid of that like traumatic experience of thought process of I'm not as great as I know I can be. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So you definitely gonna have to do a couple movies about this. I hope you're writing the script now.
I've like in my head.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like,
amazing.
thank you so much.
Wow. In another life, I was a screenwriter. I went to film school at Columbia University and got my MFA there. And so, if you want to just talk on the side later, we could definitely talk. I mean, I mean, that's not even, that's a multiple Marvel movie, like, series. So, just hold on to that. That is awesome. And so,
Thank
how long have you
you
been
so
working
much.
on this story and building it? Is this something that came to you in like one shitty day that you had when you were like 17, or was it like something that you've been building up until this point?
It was definitely when it started to like become tangible for me,
Mm-hmm.
was when I was around 19 and I had just finished producing my album. And I had this whole vision with my album where I was like, it can't sound like anything. It has to be completely original. It has to like literally be a whole new genre of music. Mission accomplished, by the way. I'm just giving you like a spoiler right there.
Wow.
Chats, they roll out like this, yeah? I think I came up with this whole story that I just told you. I came up with it over the course of maybe 3 to 6 months, just in my head, just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about all of like, the, oh my word, I don't believe that happened. And, the plot twists and all of that.
Yeah.
And really trying to make it seem as realistic as possible because I'm actually quite a fan of wrestling, yeah?
Uh-huh.
And what I enjoy about wrestling is that like it's essentially these live action scenes and their job is to make everything come across as realistic as possible. Yeah. So they'll take storylines from the wrestlers' real lives and all of that stuff. And I find that like way of storytelling very, very, very interesting. So I try to apply that to the whole Vantello thing. So it's a thing where after this part where I become the demigod, yeah, I was gonna have this whole thing where I was going to the psychologist and stuff because I'm having like these, these seizures and whatnot, because like the Vantalord, now I have a whole archangel inside of me. You get it? And like, I'm fizzing out because I'm having his memories, because I'm sharing his spirit. Suddenly, a man blows up on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, I guess my life has changed. The story's gonna have to like, I'm gonna
Now
have to
that I'm
like
Brad
pivot and
Pitt.
like, you get it, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, I guess me living in isolation and being a loner is not what happened anymore.
So okay,
That's a
so
lie.
I
Yeah.
I wonder if I think it's so cool. I mean, like you're just such an interesting person. I was so excited. I was like, because the thing is, like, I trolled you for like, the original thing is I tried to find your email to contact you for the podcast, and I couldn't find one. So I was like, okay, well, let me just send him an Instagram message, and I DM'd you, and then I didn't hear from you because you probably get 5 million messages a day. And so like I waited on your TikTok of the next video that you posted, and within a minute of it posting, I went to the console. I was like, "Hey, I just sent you a message about the podcast." Da, da, da. So, dude, I trolled you for like I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. Um, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I was like, I have to get in contact with this man because you're just so interesting. Like your creativity is just so awesome, and I think that it's definitely something that needs a bigger platform. Like, have you considered doing like YouTube and shooting movies and TikTok is great and I love the 60 seconds, but like as soon as it's over, I'm just like, I want to hear more of what you have to say. Um, have you considered doing longer stuff and bigger stuff?
So I'll tell you what, yeah. With Volution, yeah, that is a secret society for the artistic elite. And what I realize is this: I'm like, you know what? Most things are not that expensive because of material things like cameras and whatnot. Well, in terms of art, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have pretty high quality, well, not most people, but most people that are serious and capable, have
Mm-hmm.
high quality equipment, cameras. They can do the podcast, they can shoot the movie, they can record the song. What they're missing is each other's expertise and knowledge. You'll
Right.
get a bunch of talented people going to Los Angeles, but they don't know each other. So then they're like, oh man, the city failed me, I have to go back home. And it's just like, well, no, what you guys need to do is meet each other. So I was thinking, okay, let's put together the actual best of the best in the artistic elite and have them exchange creation for creation instead of creation for cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what comes of that. We know what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna come of that. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to be amazing
It's
creation.
gonna be
Yeah?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Exactly. And now with that is that at first I wanted it to be, this thing where everyone could join for free. And then I wanted it to be this thing where I was like, nah, you know what? We're going to get Brad Pitt and Kanye West. And it's going to be for the legends. And then I was like, wait. I have this belief in the power of both. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's do both. Let's get everyone that doesn't exactly have all their resources together, and then let's make a super high end, like elite society and whatnot. And then we can really just work it in such a way that everyone that comes to use Volution as a social platform for free eventually works their way up to that stage of getting to that elite society, where they're now, working with the Rihannas and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I thought about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this super expensive so that we have the resources, so that the profit margin is actually there, for us to create at the highest level. So with that, from Volution, I definitely want to have I want Volution to have its own infrastructure in terms of, developing content, developing film, music, and such. And with the Vantalord story, yeah, I've planned the whole series to be around 5 movies, maybe more than 5, right? We might go whole Fast and Furious on it. I feel like the series has a lot of potential because
Yes.
someone, side note, I'm so excited for Fast 9. I can't, like, I saw the trailer. I saw Ludacris going to space, and I was like, yes, yes.
I
So,
couldn't believe it when I'm for it. I'm down for it.
yeah, definitely looking to expand things to the highest level, just beyond entertainment, because I have ideas beyond entertainment too. I'm super into fusion energy, asteroid mining, building cities. That's like my main thing, like
Oh.
in terms of definitely want to build cities where the upper middle class is the lowest economic, status you can have. So like basically everyone has an apartment and a car, and that's no one's hungry. You get what I'm saying?
That's
And
so
it's a thing
cool.
where like surviving is the new broke, Having
Mhm.
everything you need is right now broke means you could die. And that's scary.
So how has it been as far as getting creative people to go to Evolution and sign up? Or do you have a lot of people, a lot of artists that are reaching out?
No, 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 no. But I recently blew up on TikTok, so things are looking pretty good on that front.
Yeah.
A lot of
Side
people
note.
that have this.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, 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 no, I chatted.
Side note, I signed up for it. I kept going and going. The question process is perfect. I love it. It really makes you think about your passions and what you feel like you can provide for the community, which I think is awesome. Instead of thinking just about yourself, it's like the community as a whole too. So I can't wait to see, how, I mean, I'm sure it's going to do well because it's such an amazing idea. I love it. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
actually
okay.
saw, and I was like, word.
It's so I think that the work that you do is so amazing because you are able to scale across different platforms of people, and your music. I listen to Samira, Rosalinda, um, there's Samira, and then like on Spotify, I listen to Samira, and then I guess the acoustic part is that what it is, the secondary part. It's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good. Like, and I know TikTok is it's an awesome platform to like reach out and build up your social media and your branding and all that kind of stuff. But like, there are some talented, amazing people on that app. So I really do think that once you get, because right now I think once you hit your million viewers, which probably will be like by the end of April, honestly, at the rate you're going now, it's gonna go, it's just gonna blow up as well. So okay, so your music, is it basically kind of like a musical storytelling of your background as the Vantalord?
Correct.
Mm. Because Samira, definitely, I heard that at the beginning, but then I also felt that you talked a lot about becoming a better person through your music. Like basically you're educating people through your work, through your music, and I definitely felt that way through it. So um, as far as moving that forward with your music, what is the next step? I guess you're going to release the album soon.
The album is going to go for mixing and mastering soon, and then I'm going to pump it up, and then when it looks like a nice fat balloon, I'm gonna pop it, and then it's gonna release. So it's really gonna be release dependent on the hype. You get what I mean?
So, so okay, so you released Rosalinda. Is that how am I saying it correctly?
Or
Rosa
Rosalinda.
Rosalinda, is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's
So
perfect.
that was one that you had said because I stalked you on TikTok. That was one that you had done when you were like 17 or 18, correct?
Yeah, I was younger. I was younger when I did that one.
Couldn't tell. I thought you did it like yesterday. But but for you, where is it that I mean, take out all of the demigod part, the archangel part, and we're just talking about
Okay.
you as a human. Where is
Yeah.
it that you see yourself? Like, what is it that you want to do within the next 5 to 10 years? Obviously, you want your music to take off, but at the end all be all, when you're the happiest in your life, like, what is it that you see yourself doing?
At the end, when I'm happiest in my life, I think by then, enough of those cities would have been built to where the most of the world, you know, no longer needs to work in order to survive, and they actually work to make a contribution. I think
Mhm.
at that stage, that's when we get the flying cars and doing all of that stuff. I think there's people overseeing the whole Volution situation. And at that point, at my happiest, in I call it my Thanos moment. You see, like at the end of Thanos was just sitting there in his like tunic thing, and he was like, sunlight. Okay, cool. I just off of everything. I'm cool now. In my Thanos moment, I definitely just see myself teaching people, just like this is me when I'm like 80 years old and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like who knows, I might like be a whole Mark Zuckerberg situation and be like a retirable person at 35, right?
Yeah.
You never know. But whenever that time comes, yeah, I think I'm making songs, creating art, probably just in movies and stuff, designing cars, just really creating whatever comes to mind at that stage,
Oh, that's awesome.
kind of like what Kanye is now, where he's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I became a legend. I'm gonna make some shoes now.
I'm gonna buy like 3,000 acres in Utah and just be on there. Just make music and be like I think it's like he made art an art museum or an art school for just black creators to come out. I don't know if he's actually opened it yet, but he talked about it in like an interview that he did once. And I was like, that is so cool. He had like caves and stuff that he had bought, and I was like, man, that must be a really awesome thing to do to be able to have that type of outlet. So, I mean,
Definitely.
when you are, building cities and um, having flying cars and doing all that, what type of things do you see yourself like your day to day? Like everyone's like, when I'm 35, I want to make sure I have a wife and kids and, they're going off to school and whatever. Or when I'm 35, I want to do X, Y, and Z with my life. For you, other than being happy with your career, what are the type of things that you aspire to do with your life, with your personal life, I mean?
Okay, okay, okay. Right now my crush is acting up, so let me answer the question without her in mind.
Yeah, take her out the picture for right now.
It would be funny if we started dating, then she saw this. Like, who are you talking about? I know that this interview was in April. um,
Baby, I wasn't talking about you.
I personal life. You know what's crazy about this question is that recently I went on vacation for the first time in 7 years. Yeah. Because I was just focused on the whole Vanta thing and the evolution thing and everything. And I was like, I've forgotten how to be a human being. I forgot that there's a human personal element, like outside of like the whole work thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a thing where I haven't really thought deeply about it. So in my mind, the answer I'm giving you isn't necessarily the answer you're looking for, because the answer I'm giving you is, well, my social life's going to consist of all of the future innovators that I'm going to be teaching and stuff. Because now, just the thought of me having a wife and kids, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not angry at it. It seems very wonderful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that I haven't really thought deeply enough about, and I'm starting to see the value in. But of course, I'm 23, yeah. So it's cool that I'm starting to see the value in it from such a young age, which I just kind of found out young. Everyone's so surprised that I'm 23.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Can we talk about that for a second? So, okay.
yeah.
When I first did you add your age a little bit later on your page on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay, because when I started following you, it wasn't on there. I could have swore it, and I was like, I have to ask him. So I thought you were because you're so you're like a well-read person, obviously, but it's like you've lived life already, and then you're just like living it through 23. Like it's like you've already gone through from A to Z, but you're just like, well, I'm 23. I might as well just use my wiseness for good. Like, and it fits in with the whole thing with the Guardian, with Vance Lord and all that kind of stuff. It's just because you're so well. It's like you've lit. When I first saw you, I thought you were in your 30s or 40s, not because of what you look like, but because of what you talked about. Um, and it's just it's amazing. I was like, how is he 23? He's so. I feel like I'm talking to someone my age. So, I. What is it that you feel like makes you think people are surprised that you are 23, that you're so young?
Well, now what you're saying is what's making me think they're surprised. I mean, I've actually heard that before where someone, I actually got this when I was like 18, where someone said, "You seem like you've just lived so much," you know? I'll say this. There were moments when I was a child where I had to be the adult.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I know that life.
Parents were having their disagreements. There were moments where I had to be the adult. So I'm not sure how that would have influenced it. Yeah, but I mean, I was always very very weird growing up. It's not like I was bullied for being weird. Thank you, pretty privilege. Um,
Yes, pretty privileged. Side note,
I didn't
side
know that's what it was like.
It is because I side note. I was talking to my mother last night, and she was like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I was like, "Oh, I'm interviewing this guy off TikTok. He's so awesome." Da da da. I was like, "I'll show you to him," and I was showing your videos to her. He's like, "Oh, he's kind of cute." I was like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm interviewing him." So you go across all ages, my friend, all ages. Pretty
Amazing.
privileged.
Yeah, no, I feel so good. I'm cross generational. They need to put me in one of those BuzzFeed videos, like of like woman 18 to like 99 or something. Do you find the man attractive?
Oh my God. Sorry, it was a side note. I just had to tell you that. She's like, "Make sure you tell him." I was like, "I will, mom. Don't worry." But anyways,
You
continue.
tell her
Continue.
that. So yeah, I was always in my own zone. I started making music seriously when I was 16. Yeah. When I was 14, I would just do rap battles with anyone. I'd come with like these cheap speakers and I'd be like, "Do you want to rap? Do you want to rap? I have the instrumental from N words in Paris. Let's go."
And how did
I
those
beat
go?
that dude.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like that. I'm like the dude who was like the football quarterback superstar in high school. I beat everyone in the rap battles. Watch my highlights.
That's amazing. Okay, so then I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you give us a 30-second rap that you feel like fits within what we're talking about today?
Being what?
From the conversation that started this whole thing till this moment right now. You think it's possible?
30 seconds.
That's a long time. Let's tell it now. Let's say 15 seconds.
I'm going to now defend. Guys, I started producing when I was 16 and I focused on that for most of the time. My freestyling abilities have decreased. Here it goes. Okay. 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 Um, I'm here with a very long beard, like the Mormon man, talking about the Vanta Lord Archangel. That's my origin. Everybody knows I'm coming through with the finessing, and I've got the suggestions. I'm loving all these questions. Searching for perfection, looking for detection. I'm seeing the world go into a very scary direction.
Oh.
People see me speak. I know most of them don't believe him when I say that I'm gonna come through and universalize freedom. Interview with Rebecca. With Rebecca, she's looking very pretty. I'm a pretty man too. That's why I'm building all these cities. I've got big ambitions and they're scared. Agostinho, how are you gonna become a trillionaire? While with all of this rhyming looking fine, and future defining, it's gonna be me with the fusion energy and asteroid mining. People want to go for all these scary cats and their flip flops. Listen, I'm the biggest thing on TikTok.
Yes. That's
You know what's crazy, right? Like, just side note, as a rapper, right? I'm like, whenever I watch rappers rapping in interviews, because I think we can both agree that I can like rap, right?
mm-hmm.
Cool.
100%.
So I'm like, you guys aren't spitting that from the top of your heads. You guys came prepared to Sway's universe, didn't you?
That's what I was thinking when you were talking. I was like, it's like he wrote it down. Like it's like he knew I was gonna ask him that question.
It's a skill you develop. It's like, here's the thing with me though. If like we had a whole like proper 15 minutes, it's like you get through the bad rhymes and stuff and the slow stuttery raps like just now in like the first minute, 2 minutes, and then like from three it can go all the way. But like Juice World didn't need that. Like Juice World was crazy because he could just like rap,
Yeah.
from the, he could be taking a dump and he's like, and then he's like doing his thing and he's gone. Like, nah, he was incredible at freestyling off the top of his head. Like even Eminem was like, how does he do that at such a young age? Goodness.
So okay, so when you're rapping, explain because I have no ability whatsoever, which we'll find out later in the conversation. Um,
Yeah.
mentally, what is it like to, I think as an artist, whether you are a painter or you are a rapper or you write stories for a living or not a living, if you can't afford to, support yourself, um, there's definitely a chemical reaction that goes on in the brain that um, definitely is not explainable. So, like, if someone, like, for me, I cannot rap worth. I die instantly if it was either rap or die. I just die. I wouldn't even try to do it. But for you, how would you explain like trying to come up with something, coming up with a rhyme that works like on the spot like you just did? Like, how would you explain that mentally? How it felt like, or do you just think of like the end of each like words so it'll connect, or is it more of a unexplainable feeling for you?
I've actually gotten better at explaining the feeling. I mean, like right, right now, yeah. The difficult part for me was not having a subject per se, in terms of like a tangible, like I'm very good at rap about the time a monkey stole your banana. you know? There I'm like, okay, cool, cool, cool. Then it's I've got even more to work with when you're throwing words.
Uh-huh.
So one thing my friend did was he had the dictionary in his hand, and then like he would just say any word, like ectoplasm, and then I'd be like spasm, orgasm, and then like
Wow.
it just flows from there. You see him. Because what I would do when I was like 16 is I
Mhm.
would actually go in and I'd see a word that I didn't know the meaning of in the dictionary. Like
Mhm.
one I can clearly remember is like aberration. And then I would rhyme it, perfectly, you know, be
Mm.
it like aberration, have a nation, emancipation. You get it. So
Mhm.
like the whole word. And
Mhm.
from there, it's like now if I'm on the spot and there's a beat playing and I'm like in the flow and everything,
Mhm.
then I can like kind of go to that bank of rhymes that I have in my head already, that like I've kind of like memorized, like, okay, I know like cat, hat, bat, rap, no, 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 no. But then it
Yeah.
can go to the more complicated ones like devilish and fellowship, and you see where it
Mhm.
like kind of goes in that direction there. So with this, like I knew we mentioned asteroid mining at some point. So
Mhm.
then I was like, okay, something with mining then. Then I was like, okay, refining.
Wow.
So that's like, um, I think I said something about future defining instead of defining the future the way you would
Mhm.
normally say it, because I was like, no, defining needs to be on the end so that it can hit the mining that's on the end. So that's why you like kind of like get a few rhymes and then like a pause and then get a few more rhymes, because like
Mhm.
that's kind of like how it moves. But like again with like Juice World situation, he would like have already certain like written like phrases built in,
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, and then he like freestyle, 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 and then like boom, and then freestyle, freestyle. Had you told me I was gonna freestyle, then like I would have lied and been like, I would have written the whole situation and been like, but like yeah. So that's how it like works in my brain, anyways. But I'm sure it's like different for everyone. That's like rapping on the spot. Rapping like writing, that's a different situation.
Yeah, so when you're writing, um okay, so when I don't write rap or anything like that, but when I'm writing like other stuff like fictional whatever, it's definitely in pockets of inspiration. So like I'll be like, "Ooh, this is a really cool image." So I'll write about that image and then somehow connect it within a story. For you, is it like pockets of time where you have it, or it's like you see the abstract and then you just fill in?
Is this not my songs?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, I would say that my results musically is way better than my than myself as a musician. You know,
Hmm.
I'm definitely the best example of hard work beats talent, right?
Mhm.
Because I'll be the first to say I'm like, yo, you're gonna out rap me, you're gonna out produce me, you're gonna
Mhm.
out freestyle me, but I don't think any of you guys are gonna end up with the best song if I'm in the room. Like no matter who you are, you get me. And
Wow.
the way it goes is that when I have a concept in my mind, I always take it on by different layers. Yeah.
Mhm.
So now there's a song on the album, yeah,
Mhm.
called Their Demented Trinity, okay? And basically, it's actually like, I can't say too much on it, but I'm gonna say just enough because it's actually like a plot point in the album. But, anyways. so,
Oh.
so now here's what I can say. It's about the crucifixion, yeah, and how Jesus was the Vancello's best friend, yeah, and it's a situation about how the Vancello felt he felt some kind of way about God kind of just using his best friend's death to kind of spread his essence to every human, yeah. So that's me taking the whole phrase, Jesus died for our sins and blowing it up now, and like fitting it in. You get me? So it works on that, and like the chorus is basically when my father killed Jesus. Anyways, yeah, there was a moment. I feel like you asked me the most like relaxed questions, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit you with a nuclear weapon for an answer.
Yes. Which is fine because honestly, it's the honest truth and I'm here for it, man.
Thank you so much. I'm having so much fun, by the way. I love this.
Me too. Me
Um,
too. Hi, it's me again. Aren't you just in love with the Vantalord? Don't you just want to be his best friend all the time? Because that's how I felt when I talked to him during this whole episode. Many points in the interview, which you may see or hear, whether you're listening to this or if you're watching this on YouTube, I forgot I was interviewing him. I thought I was just having a conversation. So yeah, anyways, I am jumping in here really quickly just to say thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I hope that you're enjoying these episodes because I'm having a blast talking to all of these awesome people. I am on here because I just wanted to step in and say, I hope you're enjoying this, one, and two, if you want to, please follow the journey of this podcast. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and I want to build this podcast into something really amazing. And I think the best way to do that probably would be to obviously continue pumping out videos and talking with people and reaching out to people and really discovering, people's walks of life. But what I would love to do, like in my highest of hopes and dreams, is to get a real studio, get to the point where you can fly people in and have like one-on-ones with people, with new equipment and everything. So if that is something that you'd be interested in doing, and seeing, for me doing, I ask that you, go to buymeacoffee.com/human coffee, and buy me a coffee. Like, it doesn't have to be $1 million, even though I ain't gonna say no to $1 million. I just want to be able to provide the best quality podcast because I found out that I just love podcasting so much. So, anyways, thank you so much for listening. Get ready for part 2. It should be either up now or will be coming up soon. So, thanks.
And then I kind of go there, okay, when my father killed Jesus, and I'm like, I feel like everyone kind of has a moment in their lives where they're a little bit disappointed by their parents in one way or another, and their parent kind of kills that Jesus like superhero figure for them, you know? And I kind of had the layers working there where it was like, okay, cool, you have the Vanta Lord's way of saying it, yeah? Then you have what I'm saying within that song, you know? How like my father, me and my dad have a great relationship now, by the way. We had a bump in the road though.
Yep.
But that that like, oh, this dude is just a human, which is perfectly fine, you know? And like I feel like everyone has to kind of come to that conclusion eventually where they realize, okay, my parents are human. So like maybe not everything they say is correct, but not every mistake they make can be like held against them forever because I make mistakes too, you know, everyone makes mistakes, yeah. So I definitely take from the message that I'm trying to get across in a song, yeah, and how it fits within the Vanta narrative. You understand? So it's definitely a situation where creatively I don't do much outside of like the Vanta verses I call it. You know, I even brought Volution law into like the whole Vanta verse, and it's a situation where I look at my life and I'm like, okay, cool. How do I add the supernatural to this? I just spilled the honey. This definitely happened because I'm being haunted right now. I'm gonna make a song out of it. And it's gonna teach a lesson socially, psychologically. I'm sorry, did I answer your question? Because that's the answer I have for you.
Yes, answers the question. So, so okay. So then I guess the next question for me is: are you the type? Because for me, I'm really bad about saying when I finish something and I write it or I create it, it's done. Like it's done and I can move on to the next thing. Are you the type of person where it's never done? Where it's like, I'm written this or created this song. I feel like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. Are you like once the song is finished, you recorded it, it's wrapped, like you're ready to move on to the next thing?
Yo, I listen to Rosalinda and Samira like all the time, and I'm like, this is perfection. This is straight gas. I'm like, here's my approach to things. Yeah, I'm really not bothered by what could have been done differently because that's going to give me so much anxiety. Like if it went out, it went out. Yeah, I take really long to make things. So if it could have been done better, it would have already gotten, it would have already been done better. You see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's what I call pure perfectionism, you know? I'm like, no, when I'm done with it, it is actually finished. Yeah. And what about yourself?
For me personally, um, I when I was younger and I was creating, I always thought it's very funny, and I'm gonna be. You're being honest with me. I'll be honest with you. So when I was at school, at Columbia, I wasn't um, very good at collaborating with people because I always thought like when I wrote something or created something, it was like the best it could be. I never said it because that's not the best thing to do in a collaborative classroom. But I had a hard time connecting with others because I felt like if I walked into a room and wrote things with other people or created a scene with other people, no one could do better than that. Like, and it was not the point that I was trying to be arrogant, but it was just like I have a problem that when I read something or I see something that is written when it's for TV or movies or whatever, I feel like it could always be better. But when I do it, I'm just like, it's not. I mean, look at try to find holes. If you can find holes, good luck. But at the end of the day, like it's not gonna have any. But I know that's a little bit arrogant to say because I feel like all of us have reason to be better, which I obviously do too. Everyone does. But the thing for me is, I just need to be better about I just now I'm just like, yes, if it's good, it's good. I will say it's good. But at the end of the day, like, yes, anything can be better. But I kind of feel the same, very similar feelings as you. It's like when I read it or watch it, I'm just like, yeah, it kind of is awesome. Like that's all I can say. Like it's good. Like good luck. Like it's okay. Just keep your head on if you can continue watching it. Like it's that good. So that's a terrible thing to say, but I'm just gonna go with it. Like it's the truth. So my game in grad school didn't do so well because I didn't collaborate that well with people. I tried so hard, but now as an independent person and stuff, it's definitely a different type of story. But now everyone who I know, all my colleagues who are listening to this, are be like, "That's why she was such a bitch in college." But that's just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't think I was a better person. I just thought that my work was better. Anyways, that's a sorry. It's just totally off the charts as far as like what we're talking about. Um, so we've talked about most of the questions that I've, up to, what I had. So one of the main things we talked about was definitely your plan to universalize, can't speak, freedom within your secret society, with your secret society, plan to revolutionize music with your album. Can you give us a time when the album will be released, or you can't tell us yet?
July, August, around there.
July, August. And so when you do all your mixing and everything yourself, or do you go somewhere and have somebody do all the editing and everything? Are you at home in your like bedroom in the dark, like mixing everything and editing everything?
No, I got a bunch of cash to get the best of the best to do that for me. Thank goodness. Because mixing is just such a tedious process. And I'm like, you know what, sir? You've got this. You've got this. But my goodness, the songs on the album are very, very, very hectic. They have like maybe 300 vocal lines, for certain songs, 200 for some, 150 for some. So I'm like, you know what, man? You know what? I'm definitely getting every single, dollar's worth.
Mm.
it's
Wow.
it's a situation where this man has a huge amount of work on his hands. I've spoken to him, and everything's gonna go beautifully. Everything's gonna go well. Situation is now. I just hope that he does it in a way that like
You
makes it
want
like a
it?
movie.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, have you ever
Oh.
listened to like a movie soundtrack?
Uh-huh.
On a
It's
streaming
a
service.
Yes, and it's a movie within the music that you don't see. Yes, 100%.
It's a situation where like the way that's mixed and the way like a Drake song is mixed are two completely different things, but I want both. I'm literally just gonna like refer him to this part of the interview. I'll be like, my man, you see right there, that right there. Look, chats with is that when I say revolutionize music with it, is that like I'm definitely keen on. I want people to flex more, artistically speaking. I I definitely want people to kind of go into what they were doing in like the 70s and the 80s, where they had these super long songs with these over the top performances. Like Prince would have the like, "Do you want me? Because I want you." And I'm like, man, we really don't give it up like that anymore, do we? Like
So
right
you're saying
now,
that
Billy,
they play safe.
yes, yes. It's like Billie Eilish is one of my favorite artists right now, yeah. And I'm just there like I don't know if I can pull up to a Billie Eilish concert and get as hyped as I'd like. All the good girls go to hell. Cause even like I'll be there whispering, you know what I mean? Like, do I shout? Do I? Like Ariana Grande is another one of my favorite artists. I'm like, man, my voice doesn't even go that high. Like we got Pop for a second, but then rest in peace, Pop Smoke. He passed. I was like, finally, someone where I can express my bearded energy. And then like, nah, you know. So now like, yeah, I would definitely But that doesn't mean that I think today's music is trash. No ways. I'm not one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually think we have some of the most talented crop of artists, like period, like in a long, long, long while.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to talk about the 90s, 2000s, and I'm like, but guys, Doja Cat can rap and sing, guys.
Yeah.
It's like when you listen to how she puts the melodies into the raps and everything, it's actually kind of mind-boggling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get like Megan the Stallion, Cardi B, like these women that are just so strong and have these huge personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh my goodness, even Sweetie, like another huge
I
personality, and
love
I'm
her.
like,
Yeah.
the women are out rapping and out superstarring the guys right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so now we're in a situation where we have like female MCs that are actually like kind of making, not kind of, but definitely making waves. Commercially, critically.
Mm-hmm.
It's not at the stage where we now have like a whole Kendrick Lamar, but Kendrick Lamar's a one in a kind, male or female, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a situation where I think we're very very close to getting to that crossover female artist like Kendrick that does have the social music and political messages and the whole psychological aspect mixed in with the mainstream commercial pop appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, that person, whoever she is, will 100% be the biggest thing, like since Lady Gaga, like for real.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so speaking of people that you like, who are some of your favorite, like of all time, not including just this time frame, but like who are your inspirations and like who are the people that you absolutely love that you feel like are at the top of the top of music?
This is all personal because I know that the
Yes.
politically yo, Britney Spears, bro,
What? That's the first person you're saying? Really?
bro. No, I'm gonna name quite a few people, but I'm starting there. I just I have to have this moment for Britney. I'm like, I'm using my platform to advocate for Britney Spears. Her album Blackouts in particular is a masterpiece. I will die on this hill.
Wow.
Like for real, for real. Did she inspire me musically? Not necessarily, not necessarily, but I love her. Musically, I was most inspired by. I'll tell you what. So there was this album that came out on I think the 19th of March in 2013. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it came out at midnight, so it must have been the 20th of March. I could be lying about the dates, but it doesn't really matter. And the album was by a man named Justin Timberlake, small known
Uh,
artist.
yes.
And he had these long ass songs. Yeah, the album was the 2020 experience. He had these long ass songs where it was like 2 songs per song, right? And I'm just like, I was like 15. I hadn't heard the music from the 70s and the 80s at the time, yeah, or the 60s. And I was like, whoa, you can have songs longer than 3 minutes. Lil Wayne didn't do that. So I'm listening to these songs and I'm like, okay, I see. And Timbaland was my favorite producer at the time, even before that. So, and he produced the whole album. So I was like, wow, okay, cool. Then Kanye West starts wiling out in interviews. This
Yeah.
guy is just like going crazy in interviews, and his new girlfriend, Kim Kardashian's pretty hot. So, me as a 15-year old kid, I'm like, I like this guy. So, like, he's fighting the authority. He has a hot girlfriend. I can get with this. The man then is releasing on the same day as J. Cole and Mac Miller, yeah? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to listen to the J. Cole album. Then I'm going to listen to the Kanye West album. Then I'm going to listen to the Mac Miller. Cool, right? I listened to the J. Cole album. This is good stuff. J. Cole, this guy, he has a future. He can rap. Then I get to Kanye West. Jesus, I thought my headphones were broken. I'm like, what on earth is this man doing? And the thing is, I didn't know what was going on, but I was into it. I think I listened to Jesus maybe 3 to 5 times that morning, and I was just in love with how reckless that album was. Just
Yeah.
it really matched his energy in the interviews and stuff. Then there was the interview that came out, I think after that, where he was all like, "I just told you who I thought I was. I got. I just told you." And I was like, "Wait, so we could just say we're gods?"
I I will say that you are right because I totally forgot about the whole Kanye thing. So what's interesting about him, what I love about him, is that you can see the manifestation of who Kanye West was from the beginning album with the weird cartoon teddy bear, and then all the way to now. And it's just like you see the construction, then deconstruction, and then his healing, and then you can see like it's he's so crazy, but his music is so fire. Like it's just fire. And I'm just like, maybe that's what's missing in a lot of the great artists. It's like you need to be a little crazy, like just a little bit. Like I'm not crazy
You know,
enough, so like maybe I need to be more crazy, and maybe my work will be better. Like you just need a little bit of that, just a little sprinkle. Not as much as Kanye. Kanye's got like a whole shit dumped on top of him, but like just a little bit.
I think it's a case of honesty. And when you're honest as a human being, you're gonna look very crazy. Yeah, like
That's true.
because most people's social training consists of hiding who they are so that they can be appropriate within them whatever situation they're in. And when you really just gave me like the 2020 experience in Jesus, I'm like, I need to put these two together.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's really like you kind of like heard how in Samira it's super pretty but super rugged at the same time
At the same
almost.
time, yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely what I got from there. And like with definitely with Kanye, yeah. It's like it's such a mirror image what he puts out. It's
Mm-hmm.
like he will go crazy and then rap about what he went crazy about. And then you're like, oh, dude, so this like really happened, and you're putting this in the music now. This is super 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 interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like the definitely just watching his interviews and stuff. He had this one phrase where he was all like, something along the lines of Kanye West fans aren't a fan of me, they're a fan of themselves. And I'm like, well, I am a fan of myself. And
That is true. He is super honest. Sometimes a little too honest. But I applaud him for that because I think going back to what you just said, it's like if we're not honest with who we are, how can we be the best version of ourselves? And so like it definitely goes into we're trying to hide who we are from the public or whoever we're speaking with or whatever, in order to feel like we have to be accepted, which is a whole conversation. But I wonder for you, do you feel this whole like going back to what we're saying, like you're not 23. It's a lie. You're lying obviously because you, you have so much wisdom as far as you know the perception of yourself and how you perceive others and how the human being perceives the average human being perceives themselves. And for you, is this something that was a gradual thing, or was it like I just came upon this epiphany like 4 years ago or 5 years ago? Because it definitely obviously goes back to the family you were raised in and your whether it was a positive or a negative experience, and like that obviously molds us along with trauma and amazing things and all that kind of stuff. But for you, is this something that you've known for most of your life?
So the way it works is that with my family, yeah, they all happened at one stage, and then 10 years later, I come out. Boom, yeah. So it's not like I have much in common with my family at all. Like they have like all the inside jokes and everything, yeah. So then it's a thing of like I told you, I was like the weird kid in school, but
Mm-hmm.
then I was like snatched away from being bullied because of like aesthetics. And that's a lot of time to look at things from my own perspective because I had no one to relate to. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
like my experiences were so exclusive to me that I definitely had to spend a lot of time in my own mind and come to my own conclusions. I remember when I was 11 years old, I was I was eating a sandwich, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
was just there chowing up the sandwich, and I was just looking at everyone, and I'm like, oh my word, when the bell rings, all of you guys are just gonna go into these classrooms and whatnot. Then
Mm-hmm.
when the bell rings again, you guys are gonna to all of the next ones, right? And what they expect us to do after this is now go to this place called high school, okay? And after high school, university, then after university, work. Then I was like, that sounds a little bit broken. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know why I'm even like here if I'm supposed to go through everything in these steps. And
Mm-hmm.
then with my then when you get like the Jesus moment, yeah, was when I was seeing someone who definitely wasn't following the steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was very interesting for me because like later on in the year, I think Drake released his album Nothing Was the Same, and I was like, man, this guy's rapping and singing, and that was the first time I had seen that. You get me? And people
Um,
would like most people don't remember this, but Drake got bullied back in the day. Like people were making memes, you know, they were saying he was soft and everything. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
nah, but this guy's music is really, really good though. Come
Mm-hmm.
2015, I discovered Bjork for the first time, yeah? And like Bjork is like, she's like my freaking artistic, you know, like peak. I'm like, I compare everything on a creative, like original level to Björk, which is kind of like a contradiction, I know. But like, as Agostinho de Silva, as that is Björk, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, okay. So in that, the deconstruction continues, yeah, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm now separating, you know, from everything and observing, right? So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it has to do with observing, and I'm now creating this music. People are going to parties, you know, drinking and stuff for the first time. I'm missing out on all the high school experiences because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like thinking and creating, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you like people I don't think realize, and I don't even think I've realized how much like sitting in like you know isolation and thinking will have an impact on you having these accelerated and mature thoughts, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people will be like you know living in the moment and like you're watching the moment, so it's almost like you have this bird's eye view and you're watching you know people play the game and doing all of that stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
see. You know, you literally just helped me come to a conclusion as to why I don't do well in certain social situations. I'm a lot better at watching than I am playing. Oh my goodness. I guess I need to play more. Okay. Oh, we have that. Anyways. Yeah, so it's a thing now where we're going forward, going forward, going forward. And like one of my other biggest inspirations is Saint Vincent, who I believe is just the absolute best, just guitarist of the tens, you know, of our generation. But like guitar-driven music, you know, rock and roll and such isn't necessarily like popular, you know, right now. And I'm like, if it was, she'd definitely be like one of the bigger names. I
Mm-hmm.
love Leanne La Havas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like you can already tell by all the names that are coming up. You know, these are people that are not necessarily mainstream. You get
Mm-hmm.
me?
Mm-hmm.
And of the mainstream ones, it's the innovators. Yeah. I forgot to mention this. I'm a huge Eminem fan, but I don't say that like as loud now because of cancel culture. Like the thing is, I know like the like all the lyrics to like the Marshall Mathers LP, but like if you listen to that album, that is not, those are not lyrics you should be reciting out loud in the year 2021 if you have a social following. Just leave it alone.
So okay, then that's a great question. So I have a question from what you just said. Do you think that as an artist, you should separate your life from your art? So like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody who is getting canceled right now. Who is getting canceled that's like an artist? Kevin Hart tried to get canceled for a little bit when he did the jokes about, homosexual people, and then he did the tape, the sex tape. Do you think, as an artist, that separating them from their life to their work should be done in order to continue to enjoy it?
Yes, yes, fully. I think, you know what? I think what's happening with cancel culture is a lot more sinister than we believe.
Mm,
I think there is a dissatisfaction from people with their current, situation, and they may be taking it out on the people that are like doing things. I
mhm,
think everyone's waiting for someone to flop or someone to fail. You
mhm,
know, uh, and I think it almost provides a little bit of a comfort and like a little bit of a relief to kind of feel power, like just to have that power of, yeah, we can make Kevin Hart go on an apology tour. That was us. We got that tweet from 10 years ago. And I'm like, man, I would not be surprised if 82% of you laughed at that joke. And I would not be surprised if within the 82%, some of you guys were actually a part of the LGBTI, the
mhm.
alphabet mafia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone asked me if the alphabet mafia was coming to the cookouts, and I was like, yes, yes. Especially since y'all call yourselves the alphabet mafia. Anyways, yeah, because I'm like, I know how many times I've laughed at like racist black jokes because they were funny. Yeah,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
like look, look, it's out of pocket. It's
Hmm.
uncalled for. Like I said, being an Eminem fan will really shape your sense of humor. I'll tell you that. Like you'll find appropriate things funny. um, and it's a situation where I'm like, Eminem's a great example. I mean, he has a song where he kills the mother of his child and then puts her in the back of the car and then drives her to the pier and then throws her in the water while his child is there.
Yeah.
The song is fire. I'm sorry, it's fire. Just the two of us. Anyways, but essentially, it's fiction.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
Right.
Like me as the Vanta Lord, I didn't kill my son.
Mhm.
You get me? That's not what happened. I don't have a son. It's like me
Mhm.
slicing for test at the stage. I don't even know how that would work. Like, so, so you see, yeah, that was an autistic expression. That's my actual sense of humor. Anyways, thing is, community wouldn't allow it. I stick to the clean cookout jokes. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be separated because what now? Did Josh Brolin actually does he get cancelled now for snapping away half the earth? You know? Does Heath Ledger get cancelled now for blowing up a hospital in The Dark Knight? Where's the line? You understand? It's like so if you write your own stuff, then we cancel you.
Mhm.
So I do think we should digest it as separate. I think we should only be canceling if someone committed a crime the way it was back in the day. Like Harvey Weinstein was an appropriate canceling. You understand?
Mhm.
Like Louis
Yeah.
is an appropriate canceling because I'm like, no, you guys really, really, really committed crimes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Kevin Hart's jokes were okay, right? I'm just saying that in like when you go that far, then it seems like an attack to me. When
Yeah.
you go that far back, it seems kind of, and in the context of comedy and what it was then, that was definitely a case where it was more about the art form. It's a different story of it's like was the dude's name Donald Sterling, the owner of Clippers?
I
Where
think so.
where he got caught saying some racist stuff and whatnot, yeah?
Right. Yeah.
Had Kevin Hart gotten caught, saying homophobic things in his, personal space, then I'm like, okay, yeah, now this dude's definitely homophobic,
Hmm.
like definitely homophobic. Because when I look at especially on the homophobia side of things, like if you even check like TikTok, right? Like when people say that's sus, in its own way, that's like the appropriate way to make a joke about gay people today.
Mhm.
Like closeted gay people, if you will. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, bro. The way you're looking at that glizzy, you've been eating a lot of hot dogs recently, my man. It's a little bit sus.
Oh my gosh.
Hot dogs, bro. He's gay, he's gay. It is what it is. You're sucking on the sausage and eating the bun. It's cool, man. We eat these hot dogs differently.
Well, I mean,
That's
okay, so
priceless.
I agree with you, but I wonder if one of the things is like I'm against cancel culture in the sense of like taking the essence of an entire human being and then feeding it through like a sentence or two sentences that someone has said. Like that's crazy, right? Because you can't just compress an entire person into three sentences. However, on the other side of it, I'm also like, for example, with Kevin Hart, he has so much influence and responsibility, and when you have power, there comes the responsibility, right? So when you're saying stuff like that, it just helps, in my opinion, it helps promote that type of terrible behavior. If and part of the thing is I'm trying to say is that you can't make like the entire world be on Kevin Hart's back and be like Kevin Hart said this so the entire world feels this way. Obviously that's not true. However, I also wonder, when you have that type of power and responsibility, um, you have to learn to use that power and you're much more guarded in the things that you say and the stuff that you do because you have to be. And so I don't know. I growing up, I always thought I was always taught think before you speak. um, I didn't do that all the time, but I definitely, as an adult, do more of that. And I think that it's hard to say because when you were always have a camera in your face and you're always in the limelight, it's a different whole contradiction, right? Because like you're always on, you always have to be on. But then also it's like that's the choice of life that he chose to go after. So I don't know if I don't know. I'm trying to, weigh those two things because like yes, you're right. If somebody commits a real crime, cancel them, cancel the shit out of them. But then like if somebody says something that's definitely off color for lack of a better word, um, you know, what type of person, are we talking about here? And like what I mean, I love Kevin Hart. I think he's hilarious. I think he's super, talented and all that kind of stuff. But then I also think like he has a responsibility in the work that he does, right? But then it goes back to what you had said about everyone's playing it safe with their art. Like artists are playing it safe with the stuff that they do. So then I question if we also have to be a little bit more honest in the things that we're doing and creating in order to find that mirror that we're looking for.
I'll tell you what I think about the perspective that you've just brought into it, yeah, where people need to be more responsible with what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they've got a big platform, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once reading many articles about transgender people, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to actually like learn and understand and everything, yeah. And I really was, and it sounds super silly, yeah, but I was thinking, man, if I was to tell someone that I'm a demigod and they just gave me every reason why that's gonna like make me go to hell and all of this and all of that, that would be kind of ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But on a deeper level, yeah, you get people that really, really, really have found themselves within their sexual orientation or their race or their gender. Like you asked me what my pronouns are, yeah. You did that for a reason, you
Mm-hmm.
see. It was like just to like show the respect and create a comfortable space and everything. And I think what big creators need to do now is they kind of need to open up a dialogue with their fans, you know? like they need to be very upfront about what type of entertainment they're making, right?
Mhm.
Who they're making it for, and
Mhm.
we need to really hope that they're being honest with that. Because I think what's happening a lot now, like early on, like with the cookout videos, yeah, people used to kill me for them. Thing is, I loved it. I was like, it was like looking at the hate comments and be like, "Yeah, I made you mad." I was proud, I made you mad. But like, kind of like asking valid questions like, how do we know that he's not actually racist? You know, like low. I'm like, guys, it's a TikTok. Relax.
Yeah, calm down.
The cookout's actually gonna happen, by the way. But anyways, it's a
Seriously?
situation. Well, you know what? When you start to get hundreds of thousands of followers, you look at it a bit differently. You're like, oh wait, I could actually send a few emails with numbers like these. You
Oh my
know?
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So the plan is to definitely get the world's biggest cookout and make it be this whole international food festival where people from all different cultures and races come together and we vibe and
That
cook.
is so
That's the
cool.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm big on is that there must be no food wastage at the cookout, like absolutely none. If there's no throw, we're gonna like recycle things and we'll make it work. There's like a half-eaten hot dog, like disinfected with some organic disinfectant that you can eat or whatever, and we'll work it out, and then we'll give that food to the poor and whatnot.
That's
So
cool.
like like I was saying, yeah. If you get like with Eminem, we know Eminem is that dude. We're not expecting Eminem to be like socially, well, not socially conscious, but like we're not expecting him to like be worried about, what the Alphabet Mafia is saying. You get me?
Hmm.
That's never been like there's a lot of feminists that are gonna get super mad at him too,
Hmm.
right? So kind of understand that from him we're getting a certain brand. You see, it's like you said, like with Kanye, we're not expecting Kanye to say things that we like. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, if we even go back to the 400 years in slavery sounds like a choice. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
that was that was in fact my first time hearing that it was 400 years. You know,
Really?
yes. I
Wow.
was like, whoa, 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 it was a whole 400 years. Well, you need to now imagine what it sounds like the first time you're hearing it. You really take the sentence for what it is in that moment. You're like, okay, 400 years, that sounds like a choice to me. I'm like, okay, well, he didn't say it was a choice because it definitely wasn't a choice. It was either pick the carton or get shot.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of what it was. But it's like, if you take the human being it's coming from, yeah, and who he is for, how he uses his platform, yeah, he's not worried about the people that saw it as not being a choice, you know.
Mhm.
He's looking at the people that would have rather gotten shot than remained enslaved. You
Mhm.
understand? So now I feel like what happens with like all the minorities is that like we kind of need to like look at the like assess the situation, see who it's coming from, see how they choose to use their platform. Do we actually like look to them? I know that like people look to Kanye West for a long time,
Mhm.
especially like after like the George Bush statements in 2005, I think it was. So he was like the guy, and then like
Yeah.
and he let everyone down, so to speak.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like we didn't realize at the time that he was always in it for his vision. You get me? Like he always had a different way of looking at things, right? Like so it's now at a stage where I think going forward, I think there's now more people that are kind of having the same type of conversation that we're having now, yeah? Where there's two sides to cancel culture of like one person must definitely get cancelled, and the other person, okay, maybe we shouldn't listen. Dave Chappelle was just making jokes about transgender people, right?
Mhm.
In like one of the Netflix specials. I think he got cancelled for that and whatnot.
Mhm.
And man, it must be tough growing up and thinking that, thinking you're supposed to be something else and not really feeling comfortable in your skin like that. And then you see your favorite comedian, making a joke about that. You feel?
Mhm. Yeah.
But the thing is this, yeah, you kind of have to look at who's saying it and being like, okay, yeah, this is Dave Chappelle. This is Dave Chappelle. Like he made this other brilliant joke about pimps and prostitutes, and it was one of those things where that joke was one of it kind of like dissected that power dynamic, and the psychology behind that relationship. But it was a joke, yeah.
Mhm.
And if you're in that position, I think it's important for you to kind of look at it and then separate instead of like trying to tear down a man's whole, career over that. So yes, I definitely tell people be responsible, be respectful, and be honest if you are in that position. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like myself, there are a lot of moments where like I'll be on TikTok and I'll look at a draft and I'll be like, this is hilarious. I cried watching this. This will definitely go viral. Delete. It's gonna make that group of people. No, and it's not even about fear of getting canceled, because when it's about fear of getting canceled, it's not genuine, yeah? It's about like I don't I know there's a wide group of people that like watch my videos and love my videos, and I don't want them to feel disrespected. I don't want them to feel even more alienated than they already feel. You get me? But then every once in a while, then I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I just feel like I just feel like purple people with orange ears and like 8 tentacles. You guys don't know how to make coffee. Then to look at that statement and you're like, okay, yeah, guys, this is Agostinho on his TikTok. He's just making jokes. He doesn't mean to offend us tentacled purple people. So definitely be responsible if you have the platform. And if you are a fan of the person and you're offended, I don't think that it's meant to I don't think that it's that person's responsibility now to watch out for you in particular unless they said it was.
Mm. Mhm. Okay, so you currently live in South Africa, yes?
Yep.
Okay. You were born there?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you lived in the States at all in your life?
No, no, no. I went to the States when last I was there, I was 14. I went to Orlando and it was the best time of my life.
What- I, did you go because it was like a social thing, or was it like schooling, or why did you go?
School trip. They were like, guys, we're going to Disney World for 2 weeks. And we were like, hell yeah, we are. We went to all the theme parks and stuff. And I think that was probably the first seed of when I was like, number one, I was like, I know that some people are going to get mad at this statement. I was like, guys, America's the best country in the world. I was, I was like, look at the size of these fries, guys. And like the exchange rate, you don't notice the exchange rate, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of see the number. So I mean, like a supersized, Big Mac meal here will be like how much? 60 rand or whatever. I can't remember how much it was at the time. But then you kind of see this ultra super Big Mac situation for $8, and you're like, oh, now when you do the math, it's the same. But you see the number eight, and you're like, guys, I'm not going home. I'm not going anywhere. Then you go on the roller coaster, and my goodness, when you go to like Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, and like Spider-Man's there and Hulk is there, and you're in this world. I remember being in the Harry Potter situation there, and I was like, dude, the paintings are looking at me. What on earth is going on? Oh my goodness gracious. And I think that was when I got like my first little dose of America, but this is like America at the highest level, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
feel like,
Disney World and Disneyland is like the best place to be. Like if you're talking about in America in general, like it is the best place on earth, like they say it's true. Um, the reason I'm asking is because I really want to know. So okay, so I'll back up. My background is my mother is Korean American, my father's African American, and I grew up in the
oh,
States. I was born in Texas, and we moved around a lot, and so I lived in mostly white neighborhoods, and so I was never the person that I didn't know people that looked like me, and so um, fast forward to now, I'm always fascinated by people of color that have lived on this earth that are not in America, and how their self perception is, how they perceive other people of color, because it's not ingrained in their brain that you're an other, that you are the like when you like for me, I was legitimately the other. Like they had like on the SATs, it was like black, white, Asian, whatever, and there was a little dot that said other, and I would check that box. And so, what's fascinating to me is like how people of color, especially within this conversation, men of color and black men, like how you perceive yourself if you're from not America, and like the perception of who you are as a black man, and then a black man within the country that you're in. And so for you, is it, do you have, or have you, as a young person and then growing into being an adult, have you had those type of thoughts of like being an other, or being not a part of a community? Or is it just because I've never left the States, I don't know, is it just a different type of conversation when you're in another country?
I'll tell you what, yeah. Um, so growing up in South Africa, this is important to mention. I've been lucky enough to grow up very privileged. Yeah. I mean, I went to Switzerland when I was 8. The
Mm,
last vacation I told you about earlier was Rome. That was when I was 16. And of course, those are like predominantly white areas. And the interesting thing about when you come from a predominantly, black country like South Africa, yeah, and you go to a place like Rome, is that you don't really even notice that you're black, which is crazy.
mm, wow.
And people have gotten very mad at me for saying that. Like, I've been on like these 4-hour Avengers Endgame length phone calls. It's like, how can you forget you're black? That's your heritage. That's your. I'm like, so sorry, but like literally, I just thought that I was Tony Stark when I saw the first Iron Man. Like, personalities modeled after him and his whites. And the thing is, when you're privileged and you've got pretty privilege, and everyone like, and mostly everyone around you is black, yeah, you
Mm,
don't really get that same black experience from a racial perspective. Yeah. Now look, my family's Angolan. Okay, so they came from Angola to South Africa. So I don't speak any South
mm,
African languages.
mhm.
I am like actually a de facto American. I'm like honestly, I'm like honestly, if you had to just put me down on paper, you'd be like, okay, yeah, this dude moved from Italy to America. That's like my mom always had the joke that I'm like actually Italian, and like I was just born in the wrong space and time and whatnot. But the way that goes is that like I mean like I always make jokes about like yeah no I'm the black kid from the country club, you know. It's so fascinating. I remember the first time blackness really entered my system. Yeah, just the concept of what being black means in the world. Yeah, outside of the crystal bubble that I came up in and everything, was when I heard Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp a Butterfly."
Mm,
That's when I really started to internalize just like the narrative that I believe I was lucky enough to kind of sidestep a bit. you know, in terms of just the oppression that Black people experience, you know, because I've experienced racism, yeah, definitely.
Of course,
But
yeah.
like, you can only get so sad, and I feel like maybe Jaden Smith would relate to this, yeah. You can only get so sad about racism when like someone's racist to you, and then you're going into your separate cars, and then like your mom's car's a bit nicer than the racist car, and what they said is kind of invalid. Like, I'd love to come here and be like, I struggled all my life. All my life I had to fight. Like, nah, financially we were good. Like, if it wasn't for the internal family struggles, I would have probably had like the perfect upbringing, but they had to get the chink in the armor somewhere, right? So it's like it's a situation where and I know that like most, I mean, even in like, I'm definitely the outlier, yeah, regarding Black men from South Africa, you know, and their experience with Blackness. Because like the less fortunate Black men, they're not telling the stories about the country club. You understand? You
Mm-hmm.
know, they have to benefit from the Black economic empowerment that, you know, actually gives, you know, Black people that advantage and stuff, you know, after what happened during apartheid and such, you know, someone like me kind of scratches their head and they're like, yeah, I don't know why that's necessary. That's crazy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, I went to a private design school and then I was like, yeah, okay, no, I'm done with this. I made an app, released the app, and it's a situation where like when I speak, if you kind of remove my image, it sounds like you're talking to, you know, a white kid like in Silicon Valley or something. You get what I mean? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely informed by the fact that it's mostly, you know, Black people in South Africa. Like, I mean, I went to private school, but for some reason it was mostly Black people. I don't even know how that happened, you
Mm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
In South Africa, of course, it's like everywhere else. White people have most of the wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some reason it was mostly Black people in that high school, and we had a great time. Everyone had. So
Wow.
like it was us and the Indians. Like that was like there were like I think three white dudes, you know, in this bougie private school, and it was just the most backwards thing. Like it took so much reading and just like kind of watching the news and learning for me to realize that like Black people are out here getting screwed over. You get me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you had to ask my perspective of it, I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not getting screwed over because of my Blackness. That's nope. I identify way more with getting screwed over because I'm the youngest in my family, you know. I you understand.
Yeah.
And of course, like this is just me keeping it racial, yeah. Of course, I have other struggles and other issues, but for me to say I've struggled because of my race, that would be a complete lie for my story. And one advantage that I think it's given me is that people have often said that I have a somewhat regal presence at times,
Mm-hmm.
and thank you. And I'm like, I think that kind of came from living like a prince in a way, you know? Like I I found myself often in positions of leadership
Mm-hmm.
in high school. It was crazy. Let me tell you a story. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
There was once a time. This is when I knew that the patriarchy rules all, because this was actually some BS. This was actually some BS. So there was the student representative council, yeah, in 11th grade, and it was me and this white girl, right? And this white girl was a superstar. She was a superstar, getting the best grades and everything. Yeah, I did okay. Whenever I felt like there was the occasional D and the occasional F. At least in the 11th grade, I managed to like be a solid B student. But she was solid A, solid E plus, right? Always did everything perfect. Now here's the thing: I'm very charismatic. It is what it is.
Mhm.
and we for the Student Representative Council, and we needed to select a chairman and a I forgot what the other position was, but it was basically the vice chairman, I guess, the
Mhm.
second in command, right?
Mhm.
Now, based off of the description I've given you, she should definitely be the chairman. But I mean, look at the word. It's already a problem. They made me chairman of the SRC, and she was like the vice chairman. And I literally remember being there thinking, "Ooh, this is some BS." I was happy. Yeah, yeah. When I apply to universities, I'm gonna put this right on top. But I was like, this is some BS. This is not. I just won a popularity contest. That's what happened here. And they wanted a man to be the chairman. Is what happened here. So now I give you is this. Yeah. Oh no, she complained she threw the fit. She was actually the chairman. I did not show up to many meetings. But that goes to I was basically the incompetent CEO who got there because like his dad owned the company, then his dad died and he took over. Like I was basically that guy, you know. So you can see like as I tell these stories, you're like, you're basically a white man. And I'm like, I'm a white man that can't get canceled for his privilege. It's called black excellence. Ha!
My God. So,
You get the best of both worlds.
so it's actually true. Going back to your content, like you really should be Black Panther because you literally are basically the king or the prince of Wakanda. Like, let's just be honest.
That movie is literally about me. I promise you, they stole it from my dreams. I promise. I cry every time I watch that movie because you watch a black man grow up in like this African luxury. Hmm? He is in this amazing crystal bubble where everything is perfect and he is treated like a prince. And then someone from the outside comes in and shows him that that is not the way that things actually work in the real world outside of Wakanda. Yeah. And then he's like, oh my goodness gracious, I need to share my toys. I need to share my resources. My cousin just died. I always get so emotional when he dies again and goes to his dad in the afterlife and he's like, you were wrong. I'm like, he was wrong. He was wrong. I'm like, yeah, for real. That's like it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. That is so okay. So, what I think is so fascinating about you is that you're so obviously honest and creative and intelligent and all that kind of stuff. But what you're always willing to do is you're willing to tell it like it is, regardless of what people think. Like even within the your TikToks, it's like yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but it was a very recent one where like the guy was like the reaction video was the guy was like, I don't like black women. And he kept going on and on and on, and then you're like, no, we got to talk to him. No, and then he's like, I'm just kidding. And then you flipped it and said, because I was just like, how in the world, what? And it's just so interesting because you are willing to go around and show fault and still continue on with with your with what you're trying to say. And I think that's just so powerful because you show how it's okay to be flawed as long as we're honest. um and that's, I mean, I don't know if maybe I'm reading too much into it because I read too much into a lot of things, but that's what I feel through a lot of your work. It's like you're not just being like, yeah, you can come, yeah, you can come, yeah, you can come, but it's like the reasoning as to why they can come. And you're, that's when you allow them to come to the cookout. So um I've noticed recently that you have a lot of people that are copying, I guess, or I don't know if it's copying, but getting direct inspiration from your cookout videos. Um, you seem like you're having the greatest time watching these things. Do you feel like that's more of a honor that they're keeping the cookout idea going, or is it like man, I came up with this awesome idea, and now these people are ripping off of it.
Honestly, did you watch that Soldier Boy interview
Mm-mm.
where like he copied my whole flow, word for word, bar for bar. You know, he's like, I started this. I'm having a moment where I'm like, I started this, but like the positive version. I'm like, yeah, all you guys are gonna give out these bougie invites because of me. I started this whole genre. Like honestly speaking, I want more people to actually copy it. I want it to be a thing. Like, and it must become such a thing that
Mm-hmm.
we literally are like on the Ellen show, like sitting next to each other, and we're like, we predicted this, Ellen. We predicted. She's I don't think we're allowed to aspire to be on Ellen anymore. She treats us people of color badly, apparently. I love you, Ellen. Man, it's really tricky when you didn't see it happen with your eyes, dude. Like, because anyways. I'm already a white man. Like, I get more canceled than I am.
But you can't get canceled because you're black. So black excellence
Yes.
at its best. Okay, so
Which is a bit of a problem, but yeah.
but you know what? Honestly, after what the entire black race has gone through since the moment of time when the world was created, we can have a little bit. We can have a little bit of this. Honestly.
Yeah. Actually, like just this piece, we're taking it.
Yeah.
We're taking it and keeping it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly.